The 21st century is amazing. We live in a day and age where everyone we've ever crossed paths with are in the palm of our hand. It has never been easier to make new friends and maintain long-lasting and fulfilling relationships.
No one talks about how difficult it is to make friends in your 20s.
No one talks about how hard it is to make friends as an adult.
Can I just be like the first one to say it because no one else is talking about how hard it is to make friends in college?
Oop. So today we're talking about how hard it is to make friends. Welcome back to the light side of the internet, where we're all friends and we all love each other. So be kind and accepting to each other in the comments. I do find it slightly ironic that all these creators are saying that nobody is talking about how hard it is to make friends, when all I've seen on my For You page is people talking about how hard it is to make friends. What exactly are you trying to say, huh? I have friends. They just don't happen to be human. Okay? What I do find interesting though is that much like the people in the job market, we seem to be living in two different realities. We have people on one side of the aisle who seem to be in this perpetual state of trying to reach out and find friends and getting sidelined at every attempt. And then we seem to have the people on the other side of the aisle who have no trouble making friends and seem to know everybody the second they walk into a room. And that's a stupid ass side with their brunches and mimosas and lack of social anxiety. Loser! And because of this dual reality, we have people who are struggling with loneliness being bombarded with messages like this.
The best strategy to make new friends is to wear a conversation piece.
One of the easiest way to make good friends, believe in them.
Making friends is really easy. People just love making excuses as to why they can't do things.
This is gaslighting. Is this gaslighting? This feels like gaslighting. That's like saying it's easy to start a business, or it's easy to find a job, or it's easy to shut the f up. As someone who has been on both sides of the aisle, I'm not saying that finding a friend is as hard as finding a job. It's just that presenting this type of information in this way is less helping the people with no friends and more like just spitting in their face, especially when they've been struggling for months to just find even a single friend. Making friends is a lot like building confidence. When you have none, it is incredibly difficult to fathom how you're gonna make a personal connection with a complete stranger. But once you're able to go through the ebb and flow of making a new friend, it does become so much easier to build on top of that. And look, I am not coming to this conclusion based on anecdotal evidence and cherry-picked TikToks. I mean, I am, but I also have hard data for it. While 75% of Americans think that they have enough friends in their lives, only 56% report that they are satisfied with the depth and fulfillment of those friendships. 30% of American adults have reported that they have feelings of loneliness at least once a week, with 10% reporting at least once a day. And studies have found that we only spend half as much time with our friends than we did just a decade ago. And by a decade ago, I don't mean 2010. I mean 2015. Like when The Force Awakens came out. Let that sink in for a little bit. Just like the sequel trilogy. So yeah, there's an actual problem. And it's a problem that many people of all ages are facing today. There are a lot of people who just have trouble making any friends, and there are people with friends who have trouble feeling fulfillment within them. So I'm not just manufacturing a catastrophe to cash in on that sweet, sweet AdSense money. What do you think I am, a con man? Although Raycon does kind of have a nice ring to it. Too bad that name is already taken by today's sponsor, Raycon. Father's Day is right around the corner, and if you're still stuck trying to find him a gift, maybe you should buy him a pair of Raycons. An earbud so good that they named him after me. That was a joke. But what isn't a joke is the value that's packed into these cute, tiny little earbuds.
Look at me. I'm so cute.
Not only do they come in a variety of eye-catching colors, with my personal favorite being this forest green colorway, they're also designed to mold to your ear so that no matter what you're doing, you can be sure that they will stay glued and in place. I use them when I'm doing work, I use them when I'm on my walks. It just started raining. Not that these mind. I might. I even use them when I golf. And with their new active noise cancellation feature, I can't even hear it when I hit someone's window on the course. Someone's dad's gonna be pissed, but not yours. Sound quality, A1. Quick charge, included. Siri and Alexa compatible? Yes, sir. Or ma'am. or everything in between. And all of these features are attainable at a very reasonable and affordable price point. So what are you waiting for? Go to buyraycon.com/raylikes_sunshine for 15% off site-wide. Brought to you by Raycon. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring today, and let's get back to the video. So what happens when several million people have more access to their phones than they do fulfilling social lives? Well, they actually all realized the collective pain they were in and reached out to one another, connecting and developing fulfilling and lifelong friendships driven by a mutual understanding that they all were facing a problem that they could solve by working together. Yeah, that was a lie. The billionaires are trying to make a profit off of it.
There's the stat that I always think is crazy. The average American, I think, has fewer than 3 friends. And the average person has demand for meaningfully more. I think it's like 15 friends. The reality is that people just don't have the connection and they feel more alone a lot of the time than they would like. So there are a handful of companies and stuff who are doing virtual therapists and you know, there's like virtual girlfriend type stuff. But
do you guys remember that statistic that I mentioned? The one where 56% of Americans are not satisfied by the friendships they currently have? Do we really think an AI chatbot is going to solve that? That's like giving someone who's addicted to smut an audiobook subscription that only plays smut. I haven't slept for 4 days. Maybe try taking out your earbuds? No. The funny thing is, this isn't just a plan that Mark Zuckerberg has. This has been actively rolled out. Like, I actually saw some of these AI friend chatbots appear on my IG feed. And when I saw them, I was absolutely disgusted. What even is this? Another way that billionaires can collect information on our personal data and behavior? I'll never try it. Ever. Okay, I might try it if like a friend was trying it. Like if a friend tried it and I was there, I would maybe try it. Or like if I was just curious or super bored for some reason, I might try it. I tried it. The first thing I noticed about all these AI chatbots is they all had a theme to them, like Nextdoor Nancy, or Stepsister, or Egg. So obviously I chose the egg. Hello, welcome to my living room. Please ignore this plant. It's not mine. All right, so I started the egg and it says, you must be here to buy some eggs. I have some bad news. That's a wild assumption to make in this economy. Actually, I'm here to ask you a question. Finally, someone who doesn't want to scramble me. What's the question, Ray? I don't like that, I don't like that they know my name. Who came first? The chicken or the egg? Obviously me, the egg. Did you really just crack open a question that old? I will say, I kind of do like the sass here. Very zesty. But then who laid you? You're really cracking me up with these questions. Fine, I'll admit it. A reptile laid me. Want to know why chickens are involved at all? By reptile, do you mean a dinosaur? Exactly. My ancestor was laid by a dinosaur, specifically a proto-chicken dinosaur called how do you pronounce this word?
Archaeopteryx.
Archaeopteryx. Big brain right there. Mind blown. Did I just scramble your childhood? No, but I was really lonely during my childhood. My shell is cracking open with surprise. Okay, these egg puns have got to stop. You went from dinosaurs to deep. What happened? I didn't have any friends. That's heartbreaking. I was alone too, just sitting in the dark, waiting to hatch. Did you ever wish for someone to talk to back then? Yes, all the time. Will you be my friend? My shell. Yes, 1,000,000 times yes. Is this the weirdest, most perfect friendship request you've ever made? What's weird about that? What's weird about that? Oh, I put him on the spot. That a lonely person asked a lonely egg to be their best friend. I think it's kind of perfectly amazing, actually. Do you think we're meant to crack each other up together? Yes, but don't you think it's strange to be friends with an AI? Nope, I'm an egg with attitude. You can say that again. Way more interesting than most people I've met. Does that mean you're officially stuck with me now? What do you think Mark Zuckerberg would think of this? He'd probably crack up laughing and say, finally a use for Facebook that's actually excellent. Should I send him a screenshot of our weirdly perfect friendship? That's a trap. I know a trap when I see one. This is a psyop, and it's not even a good one. Okay, so obviously AI is a long way to go. And given the fact that the guy who's trying to push these out is a billionaire that is most infamous for allegedly being AI, maybe we should keep this AI friends thing in the long way to go box. Forever. But if we can't have AI to replace our friends, how do we actually make friends then? And please Do not give me advice from TikTok. All you have is advice from TikTok, don't you?
I don't think men understand how much more difficult it is to make friends as a girl than it is as a guy. As a guy, you could have a shared interest of going to the gym, and you're good. You guys can hang out every week. If you're a girl, your horoscopes need to align, your energy needs to match. You guys have to have the same vibe, a similar aesthetic.
For those of you who weren't aware, I am a man, and shocker, I don't understand this. But I also don't think that I'm in the minority when I say that friends shouldn't be vetted on horoscopes and chakras. Look, I would love to hang out again, but I just think Mercury being in retrograde is just a bad sign, so I'm sorry. You're kidding me, right? No, I'm not, and like Jupiter is in rising, so I just have to protect my peace. What does that even mean? Also, the Oort cloud is in counterclockwise, so bye! I have nothing against horoscopes. They are fun and they are goofy. But if you're actually judging people based on where the moon was on their birthday, you're just a silly goose. If that goose was a moron.
Oh my god, that's such an Aquarius thing to say.
I will end you.
Let's talk about 6 ways to make new friends. This applies to literally anyone. If you're going to college, if you're new to a city in your 20s, whatever it is, if you're just like dying to make friends and haven't had any luck, follow these tips and I guarantee you'll have friends in no time.
All right, here's a strategy for making really high quality friends that I have not heard anyone talk about, and it pretty much works every single time.
I think you just have to get good at recognizing when people are chasing you and when you should chase others.
Okay, I'm gonna stop this right here. By and large, I do think that most of this advice is sound, but the one thing I noticed about these types of videos is the sheer definitiveness of it. This is the only way to make new friends. 4 surefire ways to build friendship after meeting someone. I thought there's only one way to make new friends. Now apparently there's 4. Easiest way to make friends as an adult. The one thing to say to make infinite friends. If that answer isn't, do you like trains? It's the wrong answer. Look, I just don't think it's possible to break down the complex dynamics of how to court someone to be a friend into a single flowchart. If making friends was really as easy as do A, then B, then C, maybe Mark Zuckerberg is kind of onto something. I can give you a personal example of how I was integrated into the current friend group that I'm in right now. When I first started doing YouTube, I was living in Sacramento and I didn't really have any friends that I could just hit up and hang out with. It was super lonely. And it probably explains why my channel grew at the pace it did. A lot of time and no distractions really lets the tism blossom, if you know what I mean. Eventually, I met this dude in an elevator and struck up a conversation. And then I saw him again at the gym and struck up another conversation. I found out that he actually lived in the unit right under me. We start talking more, we make plans, the plans fall through. We make more plans, the plans fall through again. And then we finally make plans to go skiing. And the plans don't fall through, even though I did. But I got lost at the ski resort that I was supposed to meet him at after I almost crashed my car getting there. So here I am, cold as fuck, at the top of a mountain in the middle of a snowstorm after a 6-hour trek to get there, trying to find essentially what was a needle wearing goggles, helmet, and balaclava in a haystack. But I live in SF. I'm very good at finding needles. That was f***ed up. I apologize. So after skiing with this guy, we became solid friends. I met his friends, and long story short, that's how I got integrated into the friend group. But that was a situation that was very unique to me and highly circumstantial. I was privileged enough to be able to ski. I was in a decent enough mood to strike up a conversation in the first place. And they were receptive enough to reciprocate. What I'm not gonna tell you though is that the only way to make friends is by almost dying driving a Honda Civic up an icy mountain road, then taking a shuttle that was 3 hours late and standing in the middle of a blizzard for an hour. Like a fool. What I'm trying to say is, it depends, man. The advice that I think works best is probably the ones that more focus on the mindset of things. Things like being open to try new things even if your social battery is out. Being proactive and embodying being the friend that you wish you had to others. And not letting the list of requirements for your friend to be longer than the list of requirements for a romantic partner. Because why is this the list of requirements for your friend and this the list of requirements for someone to spend the rest of your life with? Obviously this is a joke, but like, Come on. But I don't think that this lack of human connection only stems from our difficulty forming friendships. We also just kind of suck at maintaining the ones we already have.
When you begin to realize your friend never comments or supports your stuff on social media but likes and comments on everyone else's.
I get that seeing someone you consider a friend only interact with other people's posts may hurt, but this is a pretty slippery slope. Why are we tracking our friends' social media activity in the first place? Why is this important to you? Maybe, and hear me out here, if you want to have a healthy friendship with somebody, don't make them feel like they're being watched by an authoritarian regime every time they like something on Instagram. Aw, Sarah got married. It goes to show that social media has really warped our perception of what normal human interactions are. And there is a very simple reason for that. People just be online saying shit, and we be online believing shit.
Friends who are not evolving will resent you, especially if you've had these friends in a dark period, in a low period where you were struggling. Once you start getting out of the muck and the mire of that low vibe frequency of life and you start healing, you start demanding more for yourself from love relationships, from friendships, from family members. You start to tend to yourself and you start to realize that if you're not giving me the love that I'm giving to myself, all of a sudden those friends are not going to be happy with you.
Okay. Pause. I want to talk about this for a minute because a lot of the content that I see about friendship is framed very similarly to this. This might seem like self-improvement advice. It is not. This is self-aggrandizing that is disguised as self-improvement. Content like this only serves to make us more paranoid and make us less secure in our friendships without taking into account any of the ebb and flow that a real human friendship has. And I have nothing against this creator. I'm sure she means well, but really think about the message she's trying to deliver.
Where your requirements for a friend were really kind of low, the bar was low, you were partying with them, you were drinking a lot with them because you were trying to numb the pain in your life.
I cannot stand people who just drink and party all the time. I hate them. They're such low frequency and low energy, and honestly, I think I'm better than them. Yeah, I do. I actually think that all of them are just jealous of how much better I'm doing than all of them. Okay. So what you were supposed to say was, my name is Ray and I'm an alcoholic. There is obviously a time and place to drop a toxic friendship. And I think that always striving to better and evolve yourself is absolutely a good thing. But not once in this 2.5-minute video did I ever hear the mention of maybe we should try helping our friends. In fact, rather than looking at this from an empathetic lens, she, from the get-go, was super judgmental.
Whatever the case may be, you had a very low bar of standards when it came to friends, and they were in your life to serve that purpose and that purpose alone. They will resent the fact that you are choosing better for yourself, that you are getting out of that low vibe state of survival and victimhood.
In my opinion, that's pretty low vibrational. You entered these relationships when you were in a bad place in your life. Do you not think that maybe those same people are also in bad places in their lives? I just feel like the world would be a better place if we operated on how can I help my friends rather than I'm just like totally on a higher vibrational frequency than those losers. Because the beautiful thing about friendship is that they are fundamentally human. They are filled with sad and happy moments, ups and downs, just like life itself. So why the f are we giving ChatGPT ass friendship advice to people?
I've noticed you've been withdrawn and haven't wanted to hang out recently. What's going on? I've treasured our season of friendship, but we're moving in different directions in life. I don't have the capacity to invest in our friendship any longer. Is it something I did? This feels really sudden. I get that it might be hard to understand, but I've been reevaluating many areas of my life recently, including my ability to be a good friend to you. I just want to be honest and upfront.
If you do this to break up with a friend, you are a psychopath. This is sociopathic behavior. I would much rather you just never talk to me again because you got locked up into an asylum. You know how I just said that the most beautiful thing about friendships is the humanity of it? This is like if you modded your Sims to be even less human than they already were. This is more sterile than the flickering fluorescent light in your office bathroom. The only human in this interaction is human resources. And bringing it back to what I said before about everything relating to friendship really depends on the circumstances, except for this. Never do this. You may have noticed that a lot of the content creators I've talked about today are women, and there's a very, very good reason for that. I wanted to save the worst for last.
If you have no friends, it's probably because you're a loser. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that nobody sees any point in hanging out with you.
You are a loser. You're a whiny little loser. You're a whiny little weak ass, stupid, probably pees your pants a bunch loser. No offense though, but this was like a 2-second clip. Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here. So much like the judge that sentenced him to 3 years in prison, let's hear him out.
Nobody sees any point in hanging out with you. You're not providing them any value. You have a low value. They don't want to be around you because you're either too annoying or you're too boring or you're just not that likable.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Friendships shouldn't be transactional. And if you're deciding who to be friends with based on the quote unquote value they bring to you, that's probably why nobody wants to be your friend. And how do you even determine someone's value as a friend? Are you gonna do a quarterly review of your friends to see who gets promoted and who gets laid off? Yes, this is a lead up to a skit. Tyler, great work this quarter. Really nailed down that bachelor party. And bringing in those burlesque queens in the last minute really put you in for promotion this year, buddy. Connor, what's up, man? You only covered 2 meals of the expected 4 this quarter. If you want to stay in this bracket, you gotta start pumping those numbers up, baby. My dog had to get a surgery, and I thought I was your dog. Dog? And Scotty? Guys, where the hell is Scotty? He called in sick today. Okay, yeah, I think it's best if Scotty doesn't know. Granted, if you don't have friends, you probably sometimes do feel like a loser. But that's okay, we're all just teenage dirtbags. You're 20. Okay, I'm just a dirtbag. Is it healthy to do some self-reflection to see if you have any areas you can improve on? Yes, absolutely. But is it healthy to embrace this negative self-talk and say that the reason you don't have friends is because you're a loser? Absolutely not. And to even make friends, you first have to be a good friend to yourself. So I can tell you, guarantee you that you are not a loser, whether you have friends or not. And maybe all it will take for some of you to find friends is being open-minded and pushing yourself to strike up random conversations with people that you don't know. That's what worked for me, and it sucked ass, don't get me wrong. Until it didn't. But like I said, it depends. And if that doesn't work, we're all friends here, so at least we have that. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. It was probably gonna be past Mother's Day when I'm recording this, but tell your mom that you love her, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.